Good morning. This is Chair French, and I am convening the KCC's business meeting for Tuesday, March 9th, 2021. It is 10 a.m. On today's agenda, we have 25 consent agenda items and one noticed item for consideration. And I'm joined by my colleagues, Commissioner Duffy and Commissioner Dwight Keene. We will turn first to our first item, which is our consent agenda. Commissioners, you've had the opportunity to review the proposed 25 consent agenda items. Do you have any questions on those items? And I will start first with Commissioner Duffy.
No, I do not. Thank you.
Commissioner Keene?
None for me either. Thank you. I would move the approval of the consent agenda.
And I second Commissioner Keene's motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the items on the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of approving the consent agenda items, please vote aye.
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 Aye. The consent agenda is approved. We will now move to our one noticed item. This is in docket number 21, GIMX 303 MIS, and this is a proposed order adopting staff's R&R to open company-specific investigations. And our presenter for this item is Mr. Brian Fedotin. Brian?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
On February 15th, the Commission issued an emergency order directing all jurisdictional natural gas and electric utilities to do everything necessary to ensure natural gas and electricity service continued to be provided to customers in Kansas. The emergency order also authorized every jurisdictional electric and natural gas utility to defer extraordinary costs associated with continued service during the unprecedented cold weather, to defer that to those costs to regulatory asset. On March 1st, staff filed a report and recommendation recommending opening a series of company-specific dockets, which would allow the utilities to file their financial impact plans and also allow staff to tailor its investigation to match each utility's unique circumstance. In this order, the Commission adopts staff's recommendation and opens the following 7 company-specific dockets. 21 EKME 329 GIE, that would cover Evergy Kansas Metro and Evergy Kansas Central. The second new docket would be the 21 EPDE 330 GIE docket, which would cover Liberty Empire. Then you have 21 SPEE 331 GIE, which is for Southern Pioneer. 21 KGSG 332 GIG, which would be for Kansas Gas Service. 21 ATMG 333 GIG for Atmos Energy. 21 BHCG 334 GIG for Black Hills Energy, and 21 AEGG 335 GIG for American Energy's gas service. Consistent with staff's recommendation, each utility shall file its plan to minimize the financial impact from the cold weather event into its company-specific investigation. And then this order also addresses some interventions that were filed in this docket. Since Blue Mark's interests are limited to Kansas Gas Service and Black Hills, this order grants Blue Mark's intervention in the new 21 KGSG 332 and 21 BHCG 334 dockets, but not this initial emergency order docket. CURB is granted intervention in this particular docket, as well as all 7 company-specific dockets. This order also contains protective and discovery order language that will govern the treatment and handling of confidential information in this docket. This 21-303 docket will remain open and serve as a repository for the industry-wide reports or findings resulting from investigations from FERC, NERC, or SPP. With that, I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that presentation. I'll now turn to my fellow commissioners to see if they have any questions about the order. I'll start with Commissioner Keen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No questions from me. I do have an observation I would like to make, however, without being intentionally repetitive of what Brian has said. I want to put a bit of an exclamation point on the highlights of this order, is I think they really have a bearing. This docket and this order represent certainly one of the most important and consequential undertakings by the commission since I've been a member. As Mr. Fedotin indicated, the docket opens utility company specific investigations to thoroughly assess the causes and the effects or the impacts of the February 2021 severe weather emergency on Kansas customers. 7 investigations that are authorized by this order in each instance examine each utility's proposal to minimize the financial impacts of this February weather emergency on their customers. I think importantly, this order was initiated by a report and recommendation filed by the KCC utility staff on March 1st. I want to commend, and I'm sure my fellow commissioners join me in this certainly, the utilities division staff for proposing company-specific examinations and investigations in dockets that are going to permit a tailoring, if you would, of these investigations to match each utility's unique circumstances. Great merit in this. I commend you as well, Mr. Fedotin, for your role in bringing this order to fruition. That concludes my comments. I appreciate your indulgence.
Thank you. Commissioner Duffy?
Yes, thank you. And I would echo everything that Commissioner Keen said. Although the event on a day like today, when it's supposed to reach 72 degrees, perfect weather day throughout Kansas, the effects of what happened during that 1 week in particular, but really almost over 2 weeks, but the 1 week in particular in February still just smarts in my head. In that I know the effects of what occurred will definitely affect everybody in these jurisdictional utilities. We are the ones with the obligation to do the forensic analysis, peel back the layers, and really make sure we understand what occurred during that time frame. I will have to say I've read a lot of stories and from the various papers. Comparisons to Texas, the state of Texas, ring very hollow with me, in that Texas is by its very nature its own entity, and it has been that way and has no connection to the rest of us here in the lower 48. It operates as a separate entity completely in its jurisdictional utilities. We are connected with 13 other states. So first of all, I do want to make sure that Kansas did not suffer more so than other states during this time frame, that we were not the choice in terms of SPP's decision to make reductions and cut people off. Also, as I listened to the city council meeting for Topeka, to me, I believe there are some environmental justice issues that definitely will be reviewed based on the questions that the staff has proposed be looked at in terms of the electric utility. And I do believe those are very valid questions. Next, I would hope that CURB as an intervener contributes heavily to the discussion and keeps us on task with their intervention, as they have the most direct relationship with the customers in this state. The effects of what occurred during that week, just like so many other things that have happened this year, are going to haunt us for a long time. It is our obligation to ensure, and I do believe the staff's questions that they raised in their R&R and that we have adopted will lead us to better understand the effects of what happened and how we prevent this in the future. As it appears, this will not be just the 500-year flood. This perhaps could be more of a norm, and that we need to be prepared. With that, I do appreciate staff's quickness to respond and get this before us in a timely fashion, and that we do move forward with all haste. And I would agree with Commissioner Keene. This is one of the most important dockets we will deal with in recent, that we've dealt with in recent history. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Duffy. Do I have a motion to approve the order?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
If I turn my mic on, you can hear it. I second, please.
We have a motion and a second to approve the proposed order in this docket. Is there any further discussion? I would just add that I echo, all of my fellow commissioners' comments. I think these are extremely important proceedings, obviously. I would also thank staff for the quickness with which they allowed us to move in first the emergency order opening this docket, and then these follow-up investigations. It really has been light speed to move forward these investigations that I really see as consumer protection investigations to evaluate the actions of our utilities during the weather event, to make sure that these types of events don't happen in the future, and to make sure that our utilities are taking all possible steps to mitigate the costs that might ultimately flow to their customers. It's an important function for us, and we need to look at it really rigorously. So commend the staff for helping facilitate us to do this review so quickly. So thank you, and do look forward to the investigations. With that, we have a motion and a second to approve the proposed order. Those in favor, please vote aye.
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 Aye. The order is approved. This concludes the items on today's business meeting agenda. Hearing no further business to come before the KCC, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. Those in favor, please vote aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.